The United States is urging the rest of the world to reduce or even completely cut ties with North Korea. Washington also appears to be actively investigating Chinese companies suspected of violating international sanctions to do business with the regime. Kwon Soa zooms in on the efforts to curb Pyongyang's nuclear ambition.
The United States is pressing countries around the world to downgrade or sever their diplomatic and economic relations with North Korea. Speaking at a U.S. Senate committee hearing in Washington on Wednesday, Assistant Secretary of State for East Asian and Pacific Affairs Daniel Russel said U.S. embassies are urging other countries to condemn North Korea's recent nuclear test and take additional actions to pressure the regime. Asked about what South Korea thinks of Washington's strategy, Seoul's foreign ministry said Thursday that the government has been working closely with the U.S. on sending a strong message to North Korea.
North Korea can only change its calculus if an environment is created in which it cannot participate in the international community. That's why South Korea and the U.S. are going to use all possible methods of pressure. Speaking at the same hearing as Russel, the State Department Sanctions Policy Coordinator Daniel Fried implied that Washington is continuing its investigation into Chinese entities that may have links to the financing of or provision of materials for Pyongyang's nuclear and missile development. He didn't elaborate on specific probes that may be ongoing. Fried said it would be useful if Chinese banks and firms understood the risks of dealing with North Korea. He also mentioned the U.S. is looking into North Korea's coal trade and the country's state airline Air Koryo, as it has curtailed the carrier's activities and restricted its ability. Earlier this week, Washington put Dandong Hongxiang Industrial Development Company and 4 of its officials on a blacklist for acting against sanctions on North Korea, as it allegedly assisted North Korea's weapons program. It marked the first time the U.S. slapped sanctions on a Chinese company. Kwon Soa, Arirang News.